Hi, Sridhar, and welcome back to the Data Cloud Podcast.
Hey, Dana, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You bet. It's been just over a year since you joined Snowflake as CEO, and so congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you. It's been an amazing year. It's a great company. Couldn't be more excited.
Yes, it's been a very successful year for Snowflake, and we'll get more into that. But first, let's unpack the year in AI and data management trends in general. From your vantage point, what have been some of the most impactful technological developments that highlight AI's true value and promise?
Yeah, the world of AI, first of all, is changing incredibly rapidly, absolutely making progress along many, many different fronts, but it's quite hard for us to make long term predictions. For example, last year, we thought that open source models would catch up, be as good as the best. Now we are not quite sure. And then we changed our minds again. But what is becoming clear to everybody is that AI models, especially when combined with enterprise data, is going to be a game changer for lots of companies. Everything from how quickly you and I can get access to information, but much more importantly, what we can do with it. We are beginning to see the first, I know it's an overhyped word, agentic. We are beginning to see the first agentic applications come out. I think this idea that you can stitch together different pieces of functionality that you have built with AI models and enterprise data into meaningful new components, I think that's going to be a game changer and is likely the place where we are going to see more and more impact this year.
And then conversely, for your enterprise customers, those who are implementing and consuming the latest AI and data services, what's impressed you about how the market is adopting this? We know what the technology can do, but you can lead a horse to water. You can't always make them drink. How are the people actually consuming this that's encouraging for you?
We paid a lot of attention to this last year. We didn't want to sell hype based software. As you know, Snowflake is a consumption company. So, to a certain extent, we are tied to creating utility for the customer, meaning we make money on products only if they use it. With that in perspective, we deliberately went about demystifying AI to make it easy for people to adopt. Our motto with AI and Snowflake is easy, efficient, and trusted. And that last part is something that I'll come to again and again, which is that unlike consumer AI tools, which can be wrong some of the time and be sort of accepted as the cost of using these tools, especially free ones, the bar for enterprise tools is a lot higher. And so when we went about creating components like Cortex Search, which is for unstructured data, or Cortex Analyst, which is for structured data, our customers actually adopted them pretty wholeheartedly. And we would go to them and talk about utility, talk about reliability, and also talk to them about how they didn't have to invest huge amounts of money in order to build prototypes, in order to launch them. And so we have over 1,000 use cases in production and over 4,000 customers using our AI and ML products on a weekly basis. And that's a testament to the low key but effective way in which we've been bringing these to market. And even internally, the amount of acceptance of these tools is pretty stunning. So, for example, we have a sales assistant for going through all of our enablement material. And let's face it, that's a whole lot better than searching on a website that gives you 8 links that you then have to go click into and figure out. Instead, you get a written, crisp answer with citations, mind you, from the sales assistant that we have built. It is that mentality of actually delivering utility one bit at a time that's resonating most with our customers.
And given the impact that we're seeing and the adoption that we're seeing, how have these trends and patterns buttressed and validated Snowflake's 25 strategies or 2025 strategies? How have you seen the alignment between where you're going and where the market is?
There's a lot of customer feedback. One of the things that we knew we had to do in fiscal 25 last year was we knew we had to iterate quickly and effectively with our customers because AI was a brand new field and Snowflake was not known for doing AI. And our customers were hesitant about what AI could do. So we got a lot of feedback that validated many of our principles. As I said earlier, we are all about how do we make things simple? How do we make AI simple? How do we make it efficient so they don't have to spend a huge amount of money? And but most of all, again, how do we make sure we can put this in the hands of business users and not have them think about hallucinations, think about whether the tool that they're using is going to get stuff wrong? It is on top of that feedback that we are now building the next generation of frameworks like Snowflake Intelligence, which offers the chance for our customers and for Snowflake to mix and match different data sources. Now, to now be able to take follow-on actions, to now be able to actually go update systems if we want them to be updated. And that is what gives us a lot of hope that we are on a winning strategy, because we know that our customers have actually agreed with and implemented on top of the things that we have already released.
Right. Well, there's not many software companies growing at 30% scale these days. And so your recent corporate financial reporting certainly supports what you've been talking about. How do you see the market maturing around AI on that utility basis, on making sure that they're getting those business outcomes rather than perhaps falling for the vision?
I'm glad you touched on that. Indeed, there are very, very few companies that are making billions of dollars and are still growing at 30%. And last year was a litmus test for us as a company. At some point in the middle of the year, there were serious worries about whether we were slowing down. But you know what? I'm really proud of how the entire team at Snowflake stepped up, the product team, to deliver more products, especially in critical areas like AI, but also areas like open data, which is all the rage, shockingly. But our sales team, which learned a whole bunch of new skills around how to sell AI, how to sell new data engineering products, how to sell analytics on top of Iceberg data that doesn't sit inside Snowflake. So that team came together and really turned the corner on Snowflake as a company, which resulted again in not only the impressive performance numbers for the year, you talked about revenue, but we also started showing expanding operating margin. And for fiscal 26, not only did we guide strong, we also said we're going to expand operating margin and lower stock-based compensation. It's very hard to do all of these things at the same time, but this is what gives us hope that we are on the right path. Our focus on utility, our focus on consumption. I routinely tell all of our sales teams that a customer over-consuming in a way that is not commensurate with the value that they're getting with Snowflake is bad news for them, is bad news for us. And so we've embraced much more of this mentality of do right by the customer and good things will happen. And this is one, I think, that will stand us in very good stead for many years to come, to be able to sustain this period of rapid growth, but always by delivering more and more value for our customers.
Well, you seem to be executing very well, and that enables you to help your customers execute even better. And we hear these days from a lot of enterprises is they really want to accelerate the pace of change. They're facing a lot of complexity, and there's dynamic elements to so much of business now. They want to compress the time to AI utility. They literally can't wait to get better business outcomes. So how would you look at actionable data and putting it into more people's hands? How specifically have automation, the power of natural querying, and the use of agents, as you mentioned, how are they enabling more people to execute in their environments, getting better data and using AI resources?
Everything that you talked about just now, which is wanting to get utility faster, wanting to deliver and show promise to our customers, internal stakeholders. These are all things that we pay a lot of attention to. In fact, whenever I talk to customers again, I tell them I personally do not tolerate or accept long proposals for migrations and or changing systems. 5 years is a very long time to wait to get anything done, especially in this age of AI. This is why our incremental approach of you can build a chatbot very quickly, 5-10 minutes, and soon we'll make it possible for our customers to build chatbots by directly connecting them to a data source like a SharePoint or a Google Drive, so that we automatically sync the data and keep the chatbot updated. It is these kinds of efforts that really resonate with customers. Similarly, as a team, we leaned in a very, very big way to supporting open table formats, to supporting data in this format called Iceberg, where it does not have to be ingested into Snowflake. It can live in data lakes, it can live in cloud storage outside of Snowflake. And now we talk to them about how they can bring the full power of Snowflake on top of the data and get value from that efficiently. It's these steps. Make it easy to make incremental progress. Have a plan, have a strategy, but accompany that with execution in the small, step by step, month after month, where we are making progress. That's the thing that customers are really happy about when it comes to working with Snowflake. And we are, preaching what we practice, meaning we use tools extensively. And we are learning a lot about what does it take to roll out new tools in a responsible way to an organization that is nearly 8,000 people. And we are also learning about how to show utility within our companies. And again, these kinds of projects become very helpful for us to then talk to our customers about in terms of their change management and how they can manage that across their large organizations.
And of course, we can't just focus on that greater speed to value and democratizing the data services without being concerned that there could be risks. And so, how are Snowflake's approaches to that data security and governance helping to foster speed and trust at the same time?
This is a great question. One of the things that Snowflake has been known for from the very beginning is its excellent governance framework. Of course, this starts with things like role-based access control, but it extends into things like supporting MFA, multi-factor authentication. We have done that now for 10 plus years. We have supported network policies where a company can decide which IP addresses can access their Snowflake systems, again, for a decade plus. But we go a lot farther than that. We make it very easy for data governance administrators within a company to find data, for example, that might have sensitive PII information in it. If that is unprotected, that can then cause problems. The beautiful thing about Snowflake and its AI products is that all of the governance work that people have done on top of Snowflake carries right through. The difference between creating a chatbot on Snowflake and doing it by extracting some data and sticking it into a new tool is you have to figure out how to export your governance framework over to that new tool. Right. When you do it on top of Snowflake, all of the role-based access control is obeyed out of the box. All of the data masking policies are obeyed out of the box. That's the magic of how we make things fit together seamlessly so that our customers don't have to do additional work to realize value from AI. Of course, AI is also bringing up new risks. You have to worry if you put out a chatbot that some person with malicious intent is going to type in crazy stuff into it and then get the chatbot to say pretty bad things. And so we offer things like Cortex Guard, which is a shield for making sure that AI products can reject bad input so that they cannot be manipulated. So we are working on this at a number of levels, but the thing that customers love the most about Snowflake is that products work as expected. If they've already done a bunch of work in governance, it just carries over to how the AI products in Snowflake work as well.
All right. Well, nobody exists as an island these days. That includes, of course, those that are consuming and implementing, but also those that are supplying. So let's step back and examine how Snowflake's partnerships and alliances are coming together to energize and extend the value. How are you and your collective ecosystem providing greater value across these collaboration chains, if you will?
The world of data is large. You've probably seen Lumascapes for it. There are hundreds of companies. At Snowflake, we've been very proud of how we have partnered with a ton of companies. So we have companies like Observe, which are platformed right on top of Snowflake. We support people like Relational AI and Kumo AI and Elementum that build products again on top. They're available as native applications. We have a long history of working with other partners like Fivetran, like DBT, like Matillion for data engineering. And so our partnership tradition goes back a long way, and we are very proud of what we are able to do for the ecosystem together. The world of AI was a different challenge. These AI models are not quite software, and we had to figure out how we would work with companies so that their models could be available natively within Snowflake. This is where we are really proud of our partnership with both Anthropic and with Microsoft's OpenAI products. And what these partnerships let us do is offer the world's best models from right within the Snowflake security perimeter. One of the things that people sometimes do not realize about Snowflake is that it is a completely managed service. It is a global managed service, meaning that we control every aspect of that service, and our engineers are able to make very strong security guarantees to our customers about what is going to happen with their data. This is why now saying Anthropic is a part of that security perimeter or OpenAI's models are available within our security perimeter is a game changer. It completely lets our customers not worry about what is happening with their data. We've also updated our AI data governance policies. We have said, for example, that input into these models cannot be used, cannot be shared, cannot be used to create new models, for example. Our customers' data remains their data, and we take extraordinary care to protect it. It is the combination of all of these things, bringing together these amazing partners, having them be part of our ecosystem that lets us create amplified value for all of our customers, making AI safer, easier to use while it's early. There's a lot to come in this space, and we are very excited about things like Snowflake Cortex along with Anthropic to create some amazing agentic applications. Same with the OpenAI models as well.
Sure, and playing well with others is a great attribute when the focus is on a solution, not on a platform or a technology. And so let's look at the global systems integrators who are focused on those solutions. How are your relationships with them, and how are they an important go-to-market for you, as well as helping to create that solution level value?
What the GSIs bring to the table, and there are a number of them, household names as it were, is amazing knowledge of customers, their companies, their systems, and what is needed to create value. And where Snowflake is a big ally for them is in bringing a data platform that truly lets them focus on how they go about creating that customer value. We have worked very, very closely with Accenture, for example, to be part of their AI foundry. We have similar agreements that we are working on with other people, whether it's a Deloitte or an Ernst & Young or Infosys or Cognizant. We think of these folks as massive force multipliers for us. It's funny, but I go to the CEOs of all of these companies and basically ask them, how can I help you make $1 billion? And, as you can imagine, that's a message that goes over pretty well with them. I feel like we are at an inflection point when it comes to GSIs and our relationships with them. And you're going to hear a lot more about how much value these partnerships deliver in addition to what they're already doing for us.
And I suppose another facet of playing well with others is embracing openness. And so open market, shared technologies, open source, bringing the most cost-effective way to go to market, avoiding it, getting locked in, that sort of thing. And that openness has worked very well when it comes to accelerating access to more and more types of data. But now we're seeing that openness extend up into the higher AI adoption values and patterns. So how is openness extending from embracing a vast variety of different types of data into perhaps more types of many models and attributes of AI itself?
Yeah, this is a subtle and really important question. As you know, Snowflake is a commercial entity. We are a company. We are not a nonprofit. We are not a foundation. We exist to make a profit for our shareholders, for our employees. How we embrace openness while we also serve our fiduciary duty is an interesting challenge. And the way we set about creating a win-win is by, again, focusing on what our customers wanted. One of the clear pieces of feedback that we got from our customers was they didn't want data to get trapped. Many of them are coming off of very painful migrations from systems like Teradata. And it's very hard, very risky. And one of the things that's very clear to us from our customers is they want their data to be interoperable. We listened, we agreed, and we have implemented our support for open data formats like Iceberg. It's the most popular format in the world. It is not controlled by a single company. It is controlled by a group of open source developers that truly, truly care about open formats. And then further up the stack, what we decided was that we would make our components for search, our components for structured data called Cortex Analyst, and data agents also callable via APIs, application programming interfaces, so that they could be embedded into solutions that our customers were building. I go and tell our customers this. I want Snowflake's components, AI components, all components to be embeddable in things that you're building. Do I have our own framework for building AI agents? Absolutely. We do want to make it easy for our customers to create it right within Snowflake. But if they choose to have components from Snowflake be part of other systems that they're building, absolutely we support that. This is why we are partnering with Microsoft, for example, to have Snowflake intelligent components, they call data agents, be embeddable into their Copilot, be embeddable into things like Power BI. It is this interoperability that we think will unlock more value. It's one of these strange cases where cooperation, sometimes even with a competitor, actually leads to much better outcomes for the ecosystem. As you know, we're in the midst of a massive migration from on-prem systems to cloud systems. And the more the key players in the data ecosystem collaborate with each other to create great outcomes for customers, the more business we are going to create for each other. And we very much practice what we preach.
I'm going to guess that while the governance and safety was essential for being able to move fast and democratize data, that same value on governance trust is extended to openness, that you can embrace more types of models, if you will, knowing that you've got that layer, that capability of trust and governance already in place.
That's right. I think having those just makes it easier for us to embrace these. It also makes things like our components embeddable in other products. And let's face it, the best models on the planet are made by the likes of Anthropic and OpenAI, and being open to partnerships there brings those models within Snowflake. It is a trite phrase, but win-win is a very real thing when it comes to partnerships at so many different levels.
All right, let's shift gears a bit, if you will. We've been telling people a lot about what can be done, but it's important to show. And so I'm wondering if you have some examples that we can look to that help illustrate some of the points we've been making, maybe share some customer success stories that exemplify where Snowflake's value is best demonstrated.
Yeah, there are a ton of them. One of my favorite ones is from Siemens. Their CEO, Roland, is visiting us today, so it's top of mind for me. We created a chatbot of all of the PDF manuals for their products. They make over 150,000 products, and anyone that's tried to figure out how to repair a washing machine knows what a pain it is to find that magical PDF manual where you have to go to page 35 to figure out what to do with it. We created a chatbot making it easy for their employees to get access to the right manual at the right time. Simple, incredibly effective. We work with customers like Disney to power their guest experiences. When you go to a Disney park, the recommendation for what you should do next likely comes from a Snowflake model that's been trained on all of the things that their guests do within their resorts. We have customers like Bayer that have implemented Cortex Analyst so that non-business users can get access to business data without having an analyst in the middle or without having a BI tool. These are some of many, many use cases. As I said, we have over 1,000 in production, but what they illustrate is the simple, easy value that we let our customers create. And no story about use cases is complete without talking about internal use cases. We launched something called Knowledge Assistant for the sales team. I touched on this previously. All of our enablement material now available as a chatbot. And then the next generation of products, Snowflake Intelligence, is bringing together not just unstructured data, but also structured data so that our reps, our account executives can ask questions about how is consumption doing within this customer? What are top use cases that I should recommend for them? And the magic of all of this is that all of the governance rules, they only see what they're allowed to see, and yet they have all of the information in their fingertips. That's the magic that AI is bringing both externally to our customers, but also internally to Snowflake.
Well, this is certainly a large market that's growing very rapidly. There's a lot of competition. So I want to ask you a little bit about that. How is Snowflake differentiating itself from its competition in the market? How is your breadth, openness, and safety and your embrace of the ecosystem benefiting you vis-a-vis your competitors?
Yeah, Dana, this is an important question. In any area that is growing a lot, where there are a lot of dollars, you're going to have a lot of competition. I touched on this briefly earlier, but we run the largest managed data cloud that is out there. Our competitors don't even come close. One of them, for example, talks about a serverless offering. We have had that since day one. This is 12 years ago. In fact, we don't have a non serverless offering. And so we have innovated from very early on in how we create technology, our amazing governance, our amazing collaboration capabilities, and of course, now our AI products. The real secret sauce behind Snowflake's success, though, is we integrate everything. We go through the sweat of making sure that products work well together. We go through the work of making sure that our products are easy to use out of the box, that they are efficient in terms of solving the problem. One of the things that I tell our customers, that I tell our own salespeople, is we need to be the fastest and cheapest that is out there in addition to being great. Whenever customers look at the total cost of ownership of what it takes to run a system, Snowflake always comes out ahead. Of course, this is not to say that we can rest on our laurels. And one of the things that we've pushed the team really hard on this, me and the exec leadership within the team, is to get more products out faster. This is because we are at a particular point in the tech evolution that is particularly speedy. AI, as you know, changes by the day. I think we have adapted very well. Having said that, I respect competition. I want us to be better than them. And whenever somebody has a great feature, I point that out to our team and say we need to figure out how we can be better than that. Having that healthy sense of paranoia about always needing to be excellent in everything is what we are able to bring to the table day in and day out. And we have the trust of the C suite execs in all of our customers that know that Snowflake will be innovating for them, not just today, but also 5 years from now. But even more importantly, that we will be there from me down every single day. If they run into a problem, we will be there to have their back. I think it is that focus on customers, doing right by them, that is our ultimate competitive differentiator.
All right, let's take a peek into your pipeline for what's exciting and valuable. You mentioned earlier agentic AI.
Yep.
So I'm wondering, what is it in your pipeline that has got you jazzed about agentic AI, and how specifically is Snowflake in a position to support the adoption safely of agentic AI?
So we should deconstruct what agentic AI is. I think of that as having access to many different sources of data to be able to answer complex questions that requires consulting multiple sources, perhaps looking at one and then deciding what else to do. Perhaps if there is a technical problem, you look up a recipe for a technical problem from a set of unstructured documents, for example, in Google Drive, and use the content of that document to then devise a plan for what kind of queries you should ask, and then take an action in some system for that's the outcome that you want. This can be partially automated, it can be human assisted, but these are the components that we are laying out there. If you think in terms of what you and I do for a living every single day, It all comes down to we look at some unstructured sources. It can be meeting notes. It can be latest consumption information, for example, that I look at for customers. And based on that, we'll be able to make some recommendations. What agentic platforms make possible is the ability to programmatically do these. So we are looking soon to a world in which much of the work, for example, to underwrite an insurance application or a loan application, which typically involves going through 20 different documents and painfully surfacing relevant components from each of them, some structured, some unstructured, into a new underwriting document that then goes to a counsel for deciding. We should be able to automate things like that. To me, that part's very exciting. And our support for open formats, our support for connectors, which we did by acquiring a company called Datavolo, just means that more and more data is directly visible from Snowflake that can be used to power these agentic systems. It's that end-to-end view to be there with our customers from the moment that data is born to how it is processed to how it is analyzed, now then taken on to take action with these agentic frameworks is what is truly exciting. And it reinforces the different components of what Snowflake is. And to me, that's exciting in terms of what value we can get for our customers.
Mm. And so let's revisit how you're implementing internally in order to attain greater execution, recognizing that these agents are so powerful, can be embedded in processes, can be aligned with people to get the best out of human resources with what the agents can do. How are you seeing that manifest within Snowflake that perhaps gives us a harbinger of what to expect more generally?
These are components that are being implemented. As I said, one of the things that we are proud of with Snowflake is we didn't make this all or nothing. We created the components that are useful in and of themselves. So, for example, if you take search, there is an employee assistant for looking over all our IT help. There is a knowledge assistant for sales that has all of the enablement information that there is. There is a chatbot on revenue information that we created for Scarpelli, who is our CFO, and me to be able to look at so we can ask interactive questions. In addition to that, our engineering team is using products like GitHub Copilot, but also Cursor, also Augment, to figure out how they can be more effective with how quickly code can be written, unit tests can be done. And so what you're seeing is a lot of independent efforts, and Snowflake Intelligence is busy stitching these together. One of the products that I am particularly psyched about over the past 4 weeks has been these deep research assistants. Now, Snowflake doesn't offer that, but Gemini does, and so does OpenAI. I'm subscribed to both of them. We are busy now looking at how do we integrate that kind of web research into Snowflake Intelligence so that that is available as a component as well. And these are some of the examples of what we are doing to make more data easily available. The next thing that we are working on, it's not yet been released, is an Uber sales assistant that has quantitative as well as qualitative information in the same place. That's when real power comes out.
Interesting. And it's fascinating to me that things like Cortex agents are being used to help people better use and capitalize on the AI itself, to do queries better by getting the AI to help be better at consuming AI. So it's almost a virtuous adoption cycle.
That is correct. We made it possible for people to generate documentation for tables using AI. We are going to use AI to make migrations easier and faster to do. The team showed me a prototype last week of how we can help people write unit tests faster when they are migrating from one legacy system onto Snowflake. I think that's the magic that is unfolding in front of our eyes, which is AI components cleverly designed to make existing systems better. It's that virtuous feedback cycle, I think, has a lot of potential for just productivity gains within every enterprise, absolutely, starting with Snowflake.
Really exciting things. So how can your customers, your partners, your global systems integrator associates, if you will, how can they learn more about these values and start to unpack how to use these components together in a virtuous adoption pattern?
Well, we have our big event, Snowflake Summit, coming in just a couple of months. It's the first week of June at the Moscone Center again. We are going to be packing incredible amounts of content into it, not just new product releases, but also how to effectively use our products. And we're going to have many, many customer examples where customers are going to tell other customers how they've been using our product. That is one way. We also do a lot of enablement for our partners to make sure that they are up to speed on what we're doing. We routinely engage with our biggest customers to make sure that they know everything that is going on with AI. Of course, there's our site, but we work very closely with our largest customers. But Snowflake Summit is probably the easiest and most concentrated way to get everything out of Snowflake in just 2 days.
Okay. We're having to wrap it up now coming to the end of our time. When we talk again in a year about looking back and projecting forward, what do you think will be the biggest opportunities that people will reflect on a year from now? And what are the challenges that they need to keep in mind to make sure that they can be in the best place, in just 12 months?
First, I'll remind people again that there is no AI strategy without a data strategy. If your data is not in great shape, taking steps to thoughtfully make progress towards that so you can be ready for AI is important. Absolutely, all of your employees will get value from AI models just acting on public information. But that value really magnifies when you have your own data house in gear. So I would say that that will continue to be important because we know this. We are in the midst of a decade plus transition. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think we will also see many, many progressive customers launch many different kinds of agents. Some will be interactive, some will be automated. We're going to discover the limits of their reasoning, what they are good at, what they are not good at. That will, of course, create a new set of challenges and problems that we need to solve. There is one school of thought that thinks that SaaS applications as we know it are going to get replaced by quickly built agentic applications because these models are getting really good at building UI, at understanding complex data. Hopefully, we will be well on our way to realizing some of these dreams and promises by that time. But of course, there will be more problems then for the AI agent doesn't quite work well when there are 24 sources. How do we do better disambiguation? That's the joy of being in tech early. There are still many problems to solve. Hopefully, we'll create a lot of value and then create technical challenges that we all have to solve.
Well, great. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much to our latest Data Cloud podcast guest, Sridhar Ramaswamy, CEO at Snowflake. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dana. This is an amazing chat.